This is the first Super Sentai season that has 2 teams at the start of the season. And it was a weird thing to do, but for the most part it does work out. Well, not really, mainly because of the team that gets most of the upgrades and screen time. Though in concept, it was pretty high on my list, and this is because of Persona 5. When I watched the first episode, I was still somehow on my Phantom Thief mix. But then again, it does take me a while to complete JRPGs. But getting back on track, this show is, well, pretty decent. I really hope it does get adapted into a Power Ranger season, even with the Phantom Thief motif to one of the teams. Then again, I have no clue what Hasbro is going to do with Go Busters. Though whenever the first 3 episodes of Beast Morphers comes out, I'll make sure to make a thoughts on video about them. But for now, this is my review of Kaitou Sentai Lupinranger Tai Keisatsu Sentai Patranger. The show opens in a casino where this one dude loses all of his money and is sent off to a slave camp type deal. Yeah, the implications are kind of fucked up since he's just dragged out of the casino with the owner saying something about paying off the debt. While this is happening, the Lupinrangers crash into the casino, revealing the owner to be this season's enemy called a Gangler. It's using an item that's a part of something called the Lupin Collection to rig everything in the casino. Shit, I think even the drinks are somehow rigged. While all this is happening, the global police, which is basically this world's version of Interpol, is on their way to arrest everyone. Though the Lupinranger retrieves the collection piece, destroys the Gangler, and leaves the cops to clean up the mess. They give the collection piece to a man named Kogore, and this dude somehow works for Mr. Arsène Lupin, even though Lupin is supposed to be dead, and recruited the 3 after a pretty depressing event. Each member of the Lupinranger lost someone that they cared about. For a Red Ranger Kairi, it's his older brother. For the Blue Ranger Toma, it's his girlfriend. And for the Yellow Ranger Yumika, it's her best friend. They pretty much got encased in ice and then shattered.
Well, that's depressing!
Yeah, that's when Kogore offers them a chance to get them back. If all the pieces of the Lupin collection are retrieved, a miracle can happen. And here I thought that human transmutation would be the first logical step, but hey, what do I know? They make a vow that if one person falls, the ones remaining will continue to fight to get back what they have lost. And that's all good and all, but with this, it takes a while to actually care about the characters on this team. I mean, they're still good characters, it just took a while. For the Patranger, they just want to keep the peace and take down the Ganglers. Though to do this, they somehow gain pieces of the Lupin collection as well. Though in a technical sense, they can be written off as secondary characters. This is the main reason why I feel like the Patrangers were a last second addition to the show. You can see that most of the development, screen time, and upgrades go to the Lupins. These cops receive very little development, and that's a disappointment, because these coppers get some really good episodes. For instance, episode 19, The Price of Disobeying Orders, where Sakuya gets a Gangler pissed, and said Gangler gets revenge on him by forcing him to do this. Yeah, this is because the Gangler can turn invisible, and not only that, but he also forced Sakuya to, well, deck his teammates, and that got him suspended. But when I first watched this episode, I thought Sakuya actually cracked, because his boss is a total ass. Seriously, the first scene with this fucker is about improving the global police approval rating, because the public talks about the thieves so much that it's on the front page of a newspaper. Though when the suspension happens, Sakuya cannot leave his house for any reason. And this could be cultural differences, but I call bullshit, mainly because what the hell happens if he needs to get something for his apartment? Though when his team needs help, he says fuck it and goes to help them. Sakuya also gets a good episode along with Toma in episode 27, Dancing Afterwards. An episode where Gangler tricks Itu and other people to join a dojo, which instead of learning martial arts, they learn aerobics. It's a nice and enjoyable episode with good comedy, especially with how Toma is about to snap and kill Sakuya. Though the only episode I didn't like was episode 31, The Gangler Who Surrendered, just because it was so weird. The end to it kind of pissed me off because the Lupin collection the Gangler had forced the wielder to be nice. I don't know why, I just did not like it whatsoever. The comedy bits with the Gangler seems really out of place. That could be some cultural differences, but they never made me laugh and just kept asking what the hell is the point. The final individual episode I'll talk about is the Sixth Ranger introduction, and episode 20, The New Thief is a Policeman. It was just mixed for me, nothing good nor bad. Lupin/Patranger somehow rides his Zord from France to Japan, I really do mean somehow, since his Zord is a fucking train, and gets arrested because, well, he's a dipshit that announces that he's a thief in a populated area in daylight. The hell! Though I really don't like that he's both a thief and an officer. I can't really explain why, I just never liked it. Especially when my friend told me how he was going to be handled. Now when it was revealed that he's not human, that was admittedly a bit of a shock, which brings some immediate drama, and was handled alright. Nothing can really be back from Overdrive being an android, but it was still great. The drama in an episode where an old colleague for the cops came back is really handled well, especially when the Gangler for that episode revealed that their partner is dead. It was using his skin as a disguise. Just like all the Ganglers we have seen who has had a human form. The overall story is good, with the worst part again is the fact that the Lupins got a majority of the screen time and development. There really isn't a balance for the team, which is a bit of a disappointment. Other than that, I did like the story for the season. Though I really hate the fact that the thieves were saved by a movie exclusive character. This has been a problem I've had for a while now with a lot of Super Sentai seasons. This is Jackpot Striker, a Lupin collection piece exclusive to the movie for the season. It somehow teleports through a special book used to transport the collection pieces to a special vault thing that Arson had. It's a blatant Deus Ex Machina, and drag the ending down because of it, especially since I have no clue how Jackpot Striker undid Dogorano's safe. I mean, I'm glad that they're not rotting in the damn safe, but still, I just don't get how Jackpot Striker was able to do that. Maybe if I watched the movie, but I doubt it. Even with that, the pattern and just figuring out the true identities of the thieves was handled pretty well for the most part. Failing at first, but with a couple of key instances about the first time that they monitored the thieves. I like the characters in the show, and I'll say it again for the 50th time, but I wish that the pattern just got some more development, but that doesn't mean they didn't get any. Mainly pattern Ichigo, named Keiichiro. He's a typical hot-blooded police officer that seriously needs to calm down, but he acts like a pseudo-big brother to Kairi. I find it nice that he tries to talk to Kairi and help him out with whatever's going on, especially in episode 37, Your Place to Return, where Gangler has a unique skill to send someone back to their house, but everyone else decides to camp out and treat anywhere as their home. Keiichiro sees that Toma and Yumika are camping out, and to avoid their true identities being shown, they make up the fact that Kairi is sulking. So Keiichiro goes to the Lupin's hideout, which is a restaurant they run, and well, tries to help Kairi through whatever's going on. But Kairi kind of snaps at that and well, pushes him away. Sakuya is an alright character, though he tries a little too hard to get a date with Yumika. Though I can't really knock him for that too much because he does have his priorities in gear as a police officer to serve and protect. Tsukasa is serious, but her personality comes out with these weird plushies that she finds adorable. I don't know why she does, they all just look so weird, but I do love these moments. And the scene when she puts 2 and 2 together about the kid versions of the Lupins was hilarious. Toma, well, he gets the least amount of development from the main team. He's not a bad character, he's just bland. He's not a bad character, he was just bland, and didn't really leave that much of an impact to the show. And again, I don't want to say that he's a bad character, he does have some good moments like in that dancing episode, but most of the time he's, again, just there. Yumika doesn't get a lot of development either, but she's still a nice girl. She may be a complete dipshit at times, thankfully not on the same level as this dipshit, but I do like her. She's nice and energetic, nothing more to really say about her. Kairi gets the most development out of all of them, and it kinda shows, especially with the Lupin Magnum trial. And thinking about it now, I still don't get why he feels like he doesn't have a home, because again in episode 37, he was unaffected by that gangler's unique skill. Now he has a good personality, even if I can't stand his fucking hair, but seeing his older brother getting frozen and shattered before his very eyes really affected him, probably more than the others. Kairi and his older brother had similar interests, which is kind of similar to me and my eldest sister, but the difference is that Kairi was kind of following in his brother's shadow. I'm guessing that made him mad, especially since he literally pushed his brother away seconds before he got frozen. When Keiichiro tried to talk to Kairi to see what was up, Kairi snapped and, well, pushed him away, mirroring that same moment. The Lupin Magnum trial reminded me of a scene in Kingsman: The Secret Service, where it was a test to see if someone was willing to sacrifice their loved one for the sake of the world. Well, at least that's why I read into it. I could be imagining things with that episode. I mean, I liked this character moment with him, and my jaw literally dropped when he pulled the trigger. Noel was just a good character, and he's really dedicated to the person that he works for, that also saved him. Noel isn't human, as I said before, and he came from the same world that the Ganglers call home. His race was kicked out of there because of the Ganglers, and Noel was basically homeless, until Arson took him in and taught him everything he knows about the collection. His determination to reviving Arson is endearing, and you can see that with his duel against Keiichiro. The raw emotion you can see in this guy's face is great, and even though I kinda wish that Lupin/Pattern X have split up into two characters, I will still say that Noel is a good character. Hell, he even tries to improve the relationship between the civilian identities of the Lupins and the cops. He's kinda making more trouble than he's solving, but he just wants his teammates to get along, and that's nice. I do like the side characters, with my favorite being Good Striker. He may be part of the Lupin collection, but he's nice and energetic, though he needs to get his priorities straight. Mainly because he shouldn't go to the team that makes you feel good. A, that's disgusting, and B, that's creepy as all hell. The only villain I didn't like was Amigo, mainly because he just didn't leave an impact. The dude was just bland and creepy, especially with his fixation on the Lupins. I want to talk about the Ranger costumes real quick, because these make it apparent that the Patrangers were just tacked on. The Patranger costumes feel way too basic and rushed as all hell. The visors for both teams represent hats, but for them it looks so ugly. The Pattern Union mode is worse than the individual costumes, and it has to do with the helmet, because I swear the sides bulk out, if that makes any sense. The Lupinranger has better costumes, so I don't really like the cape. I don't really know what it is about it, but to me it just doesn't work with a thief motif in the amount of the character. It works better with magician's motif, that's why I really like the Majorenja costumes. The helmets are fantastic, and does the hat as a visor thing way better. And the weird thing is, my opinions with the costumes are the complete opposite when it comes down to Mr. X. No, not that X. The Lupin X costume took way too long to get used to and just looks uncomfortable to wear, mainly because of how bulky it looks. I hope they gave the suit actor plenty of water, because I swear he or she would die of dehydration because of how the character fights. The Pattern X costume looks awesome and looks like it has a detective trench coat. I'm starting to really hate modern Sentai and Power Ranger transformation scenes. I don't know what it is about them, but the current transformation scenes, they just feel so bland. One of my favorite transformation scenes is in Dino Thunder, where they jump up into the air with the costumes materializing on them. When they land, and they do a pose in front of their respective Zord. Here, it's just so boring and just needs some more style to it. I'm not saying overload it with a shit ton of effects, but if you're just gonna have them stand in one place, add some more stuff to it. The Patrangers are pretty much the same, but the background for their transformation scenes are awesome, but they don't do anything with it. The music is pretty good, though the intro song is a mix of two songs, one called Spin the Dial and the other one called Chase You Up. When I listen to both songs on their own, they're pretty good, but the main problem is that the singers of both songs do not harmonize with each other whatsoever, and when Sho Tucker gets his hands on it, well, it's not a good transmutation. The song just becomes a clusterfuck. You know, it doesn't really help that the last season Kyuninja had an awesome opening. It was grand and hyped up the show, but this opening just blows. Though the transformation theme for the Lupinranger is just awesome. I love jazz, and the bass that starts out the theme is just great. The transformation theme for the Patranger is also good, but I think I just love the Lupins more. The acting is pretty good, though I don't like Zamigo's human actor, only because Zamigo is supposed to be kind of the batshit insane side, and his tone is on the same level, but with none of the emotion. The voice actor for Gulch is really good. I really loved her final episode with the whole going insane part, and hell, the suit actor is great as well. I think the suit actor is a dude, and if he is, he gets a lot of feminine poses down really well. If you want to see feminine poses done really fucking horribly, look up the Go-On roll call and see the awkwardness that is Go-On Yellow's pose. My favorite part in the show are the action scenes because of the camera work. It flows around the actors and really gets me into the action. My only problem with these scenes is that they look low quality in comparison to the rest of the show. The majority of the show is filmed at 1080p, while those scenes were filmed at what looks like 720p, though the worst action scenes are the Megazord scenes. A lot of them looks really ugly and slow, and I think it has to do with the Megazords themselves, because the costumes look really bulky and restrictive. I also have to feel sorry for the actor who had to be in the very ugly Good Cool Kaiser VSX suit. That is a fucking mouthful of a name, but damn, I would fall over immediately because this costume looks so top heavy. The majority of the action scenes with it are in CG, and I feel like said CG took a massive hit this season. Take a look at Lupin Kaiser Magic turning around and tell me that it doesn't look awkward as all hell. The actors themselves are pretty good, and while I may hate the hair that Kairi's actor has, he was still a good actor and gave a great performance. Keicho's actor is also pretty good, and some of the top reactions are great, though I think they're a little overused. Though the actor I really didn't like the most is Toma's actor. He's supposed to be a downplayed character, but his actor doesn't really get that down that well. He seems a little bored with the role, and the moments where he has to be over the top aren't good whatsoever. The last actor I didn't like is Sakuya. He gets better towards the end of the show, but I just didn't like the start of his performance. I don't know why though, this is something that sounded off in his performance. So now, taking into account of story, characters, acting, and sound, Lupinranger vs. Patranger gets a 7 out of 10. For having two teams for one season, the show was pretty good, but I do have my problems. First up, I really didn't like the fact that the Lupins got a majority of the development and upgrades. I mean, the Patrangers already felt like they were tacked onto the show, but I just wish they didn't feel like they were. The characters themselves are good, but I wish they got some more time in the spotlight. Even with the majority of the spotlight on the Lupins, it took me a while for me to actually care about them. I think it has to do for the fact that the backstories wasn't revealed until like episode 3 or 4. Part of that is a personal problem because I don't really watch shows that airs new episodes on a weekly basis. Aside from my personal issues, I still think it will take a while for you to actually care about the Lupins. They didn't really click for me at first, but I do like them, even with how bland Toma feels. The story is pretty good, and I thought they handled the two teams better than I thought they would. Again, I just hate the fact that the Lupins got more of the screen time. I just wish both teams were balanced with it, like how Reinforcements from Future handled having two teams, though that was only for 2 episodes and not a whole season. The Ranger forms look fantastic, but I will only say that for the Lupins, excluding X, and I also think that Pattern X looks actually pretty cool. The Lupin X costume looks like crap, and the Patranger costumes are just the worst. The Megazords are decent, but the only one that looks like complete total crap is Good Cool Kaiser VSX. A lot of the Gangler costumes look great, and my personal favorite out of all of them is Destra. This dude looks so badass and is close to my second personal favorite Toku villain, Zanaku. The thing that brings Destra's design down for me is once you see the eye holes for the actor, for lack of a better term, you'll see them every single time in bright light. The only enemy design I really hate are the foot soldiers for the season, the Podermen. They just look way too basic in my opinion, and foot soldiers are hit and miss, but they could have done something more with these guys. The action scenes are awesome, specifically the scenes with the camera revolving around the actors. These look awesome, though the only problem is that the main show is obviously filmed at 1080p, and these scenes are shot at what looks like 720p. Have you ever seen a 720p video stretched out to be 1080? It's not as bad as you would think, but it still isn't good. The music is great, though I hate the intro song to the show. The intro song is not good and it just sucks. The main problem with it is the fact that the singers do not harmonize. The song is a hybrid of 2 other songs, and said songs are good on their own, though I really did love the transformation themes. These are great, though the Lupins have a more badass theme. Can't really say much about the transformation sequences. They are just boring. It's time to end this rating section because it's a little too long for my own liking. Obviously, there really isn't any legal streaming options for the show, so for alternate recommendations I give the obvious choice, Persona 5 and Power Rangers SPD. The last recommendation isn't as obvious, mainly because it's a newer show, but I recommend the Netflix original show Carmen Sandiego. In Persona 5, you play as a nameless protagonist that we're just going to call Ren, who has been arrested for a crime that he did not commit. After a while, he gains the power of Persona, the ability to summon the many different selves within you, and gain access to the cognitive world. With the help of his friends, you become phantom thieves and steal the hearts of assholes in the world. In Power Rangers SPD, we follow the B Squad of Space Patrol Delta as they stop criminals in their tracks while also stopping the forces of Emperor Grum from conquering Earth. I mean, it has been 10,000 years. In Carmen Sandiego, we follow the title character as she stops the evil organization that is known as Vile, an organization that needs a better acronym, by using the skills that they taught her as a kid to steal from them and stop their plans. If you enjoyed Lupinranger vs. Patranger, you'll definitely enjoy those.
Look how far we've come, found the bond that lasted. We'll light shine the sun. Nothing matters more than us, nothing matters more than trust.